Just felt led. I want to talk to you. I want to shed some light on these parables. Good and evil, Freemason, and yada yada. The word esoteric is not necessarily. You've got Jesus spoke in parables, right? Kind of like riddles. There was esoteric meaning behind every parable. So right now, before I get started, y'all about the left path, I want to shed some light on that also. You'll see that Jesus is speaking about the in his left side. The ones that he calls to the right side is the righteous ones. The ones that he calls to the left side is the unrighteous one. Truth be told, the left-handed path is short for the left-handed path of the goat, and basically the left-handed path to get into the Garden of Eden. So the parable about the Garden of Eden is your consciousness, okay? Children of God. Twice in the Bible, in the book of Psalms, and also when Jesus was speaking, he called, we are spirits. Man, you got to think that man was a new spirit, like a baby spirit, right? Man didn't know anything. So is just now starting to learn things. And God said, you can, now the fruits is, um, can't think of the word. The fruits different thing. He didn't want us to learn of the knowledge of good and evil, right? But I feel like that might be lost in translation because why wouldn't he want us to know good? It's evil that he didn't want us to learn, right? Now that we know evil, we had to learn the difference between good and evil, okay? But back this, right? He didn't want us to learn the knowledge of evil because think about this. When you've got a child, you can shelter a child if you can shelter a child and keep the child away from negative people, evil people, people that do bad things. If keep your child away from negative influences, peer pressure and stuff like that, and you only teach your child good, if your child only knows of good, then chances are that your child is more than likely going to be good, right? But that's nearly impossible in today's world. You've got TV, you've got the radio, your child goes to school, hears hears and sees other people um doing bad things, saying no to their parents, talking back, and etc. Or maybe even the child picks up bad behaviors and habits from the parents themselves. See, the child witnesses the parents arguing and etc. So in today's world, that's pretty much impossible to do. But picture this: Adam and Eve, new spirits. God just created man, right? And he kind of wanted to shelter us from evil because before we knew of evil, you say word, you think the word, right? Even though it's so fast that it just seems fluent, right? You can say they say that you can say things without thinking, but truth be told, you thought that thought, spoke that word, right? And then so what's the next step? First you got thoughts, then you've got words, then you've got actions, and then the actions that we do every day, those become habitual, which forms our lifestyle, right? So if we think negative thoughts all the time, if we think bad thoughts, if we think about stealing all the time, we might talk about it next. And even if we don't talk about it, step is to actually steal, right? And attempt to learn the knowledge of evil. So once knowledge of evil, they now had the ability to sin, right? And then so that's why you see God had already created angels. God loved man like you love your own child, right? We're children of God. He created us. God loved us. We were pure. We were us to become in. Now, if someone comes along, let's say your child in a daycare, and you tell in the daycare that you love your wife, maybe your first wife died, right? And you got a new wife, and she has children, okay? And she's jealous of your child. You love her more than you love her. Just like Satan. God loved us more than he loved Satan. He loved mankind, right? Satan was actually jealous of mankind. Now, if your new wife or babysitter or whoever, if they teach your child of evil, your child things, mislead your child to do bad things and the wrong things, when you're trying to keep your child pure, you're going to be furious, right? So that's exactly what God and Satan. Now, so that's what caused one of the reasons why Satan, which caused Satan to fall, was his jealous of mankind. Also, he thought that he could be a better God than God, actually going to be ruling over the angels. Did you know that? But so God cast Satan here to earth and a third of the angels altogether, right? So get this. Satan and a third of the angels, that's basically 33% of the angels. One third, 33.3333333%. All right. Now, Earth, according to the scriptures, right, is an enclosed system. It's enclosed. It's like a prison. Okay. Y'all might hate me for saying this, or but all the old Bibles, when they've got the pictures of like Jerusalem, the biblical locations, not all of the old Bibles, but a lot of the old Bibles had a biblical picture of earth. And if you look at it, it was enclosed. The very first page of the Bible says that God created the firmament to divide the waters which were above the firmament from the waters which were below the firmament. And he called the firmament heaven, right? So there's a sure in the Bible that says that mankind will actually judge angels. Okay? That mankind will actually judge angels. Now get this. In Genesis, I believe it's chapter 6, verse 4, it says that the fallen angels, right? That they seen women, they thought they was beautiful, and they bore children with humans, with mankind. Okay? So get this. Bible says that angels bring with mankind, that they bore children with mankind. So yes, angels are spirits, God is spirit. Also, we are spirits. We're in these flesh and blood bodies, right? But we are still spirits. Now the angels also had flesh bodies, and to this day, some angels, just like not everyone not every spirit of mankind is in this earth. Some spirits of mankind have already lived in their body and they're no longer here, right? Okay, there's angels that never fell, and there's angels that are here in bodies, okay? And I don't know how many of y'all actually have read the book of Enoch. A lot of people think that Enoch is false doctrine, right? But Enoch was the very first prophet. The Bible says that Enoch didn't even see death. Enoch was a righteous man. He was the first prophet, and it says that God, okay? The Ethiopian church actually has kept the book of Enoch in their Bible all these years. And it's also been found in like the Dead Sea Scrolls translation or the R.H. Charles translation. But my point is that the book of Enoch goes into great detail about the fallen angels, and it tells even more. It tells you a lot more details about the things that the fallen angels taught to mankind, the rest of the forbidden knowledge. The knowledge of evil was not the only forbidden knowledge. So, anyways, back to the point. The Bible says that we will judge angels. Okay. Now you've heard that we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but the against principalities, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Okay. Think about this. Think about this too. Satan tempted Jesus, offered him all of the kingdoms of the world. Back then, it was nothing but kingdoms. Now we've got kingdoms, nations, states, commonwealths. You get the picture, right? All right. So I know that I was only going to talk about the Garden of Eden, but um, since this is the kind of the direction that this is went, I'm going to keep going a little bit and talk about the kingdom of heaven, and the kingdoms of this world. You know, we're supposed to be in this world, but not of this world. Okay. And then you've got the whole, you cannot serve two masters, for you'll hate one and you'll love the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. And we're told that mammon is either money or the love of money, right? But I'm gonna let you think on that for a second. The kingdom of heaven is called the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Now remember, the Bible is written in parables. In parables. There's at least two verses that I can think of where Satan tempted rulers to number the people, to perform a census, of the people. Satan tempted them to perform a census. Satan tempted them to number the people, right? And people like to quote the book of Romans chapter, I believe 13, that talks about the government is ordained by God, and that we should obey the government, right? But they're leaving out the whole history, the whole rest of the Bible. They're leaving out the part about how the devil has tempted the leaders of the government to perform a census to count people. They're leaving out the part where it says we shall obey God rather than man. They're leaving out Second Colossians when it says for all are to perish after following the doctrines and ordinances of man. Let me say that one more time. For all are to perish after following the doctrines and ordinances of man. Okay? And I could keep going and going, but that I could go into that for at least 30 minutes or a couple hours, depending on how much in depth I want to get in. But we're going to talk again about the kingdom of heaven. It is a kingdom, right? Now, Luke chapter 23, verse 2, when Jesus is accused of teaching people taxes, okay? You remember when Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God's. And people, these fake pastors is out in two spies. It was two government spies that were sent to Jesus to entrap him. Questions. They asked him, lawful the taxes to Caesar. And said, render, he said, whose face is on that coin? It says Caesar's. He said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's. Okay? God created this whole earth, right? Right? If I go out here in this dirt right here, and I carve my name in the ground, is that mine? Is it really mine? You know what I'm saying? Or is it God's? Something, I put a picture on something, every piece of dirt, every metal. Now in Genesis chapter verses 26 through 29, the land, the fish, trees, covenant. There's a covenant. Okay? Now you hear about God-given rights, but everybody thinks that their God-given right is something that's in the Bill of Rights. Um, their God-given rights, oh, it's something that's in the Constitution. Our God-given rights is found in the Bible. Okay? Our first God-given rights is in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 29, when we are granted dominion. Okay? Now, what is dominion? Dominion is not ownership. It's basically control. Basically, God made us trustee of the earth. He told us to care for the earth, to till it, right? And to go forth and multiply upon it. But God did not really give us this earth. All right. Now, as far as the kingdom of heaven goes, you've got the mystery of rebirth. You've got citizenship. Woe unto the lawyers, the scribes, and the Pharisees, for they entered not in themselves, and for those who wished to enter, they hindered them. The lawyers, the scribes, the Pharisees, they didn't enter into the kingdom themselves. They shut away the knowledge and kept it for themselves, and they didn't even use it. And for those who tried to use it, who figured it out, they hindered those who wished to enter. For those who were seeking the truth, for those who were seeking the knowledge, they kept that knowledge from them the best they could, right? So the mystery of rebirth. The man asked Jesus, he's like, what? You want me to enter into my mother's womb a second time to be reborn? He was like, no, marvel not that I said that you need to be reborn, right? Baptism is rebirth, but not how we do it these days. Not in these fake churches. I'm trying to tell you. You know law, right? In the Amish communities, it's called the Ordnung. You've got ecclesiastical law. You've got the Christianitatis Curia. That's Christian court. You've got court Christian. You got a Christian realm. You got or an ecclesiastical realm. You've got ecclesiastical venues, right? Now the whole separation of the church and state, it said the First Amendment says that the state shall not make any law respecting an establishment of religion, right? Respecting means in reference or regards to. The state has no right to create a law in reference or regards to an establishment of religion. Okay? That hinders the power of the state. That does not hinder the power of the church. You remember that the government is supposed to be ordained by God. Now the not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, it says that the government derives its just power from the consent of the governed. But we weren't asked for our consent, were we? Were we asked for our consent? We're tricked into consent. And really, they don't really have our fully informed consent. They assume and presume our consent based off of contracts, social contracts, etc. Like voting, for example. When you register to vote, that's a social contract, and it's basically you are admitting that you consent to being governed. Okay? Now, we're supposed to follow God rather than man, are we not? The Bible says, "For all are to perish after following the doctrines and ordinances of man." So back to the mystery of rebirth. The mystery of rebirth is you have to be reborn as a, oh, well, my bad. I have to explain this a little more. So get this. When you're born, a lot of y'all know about what's called the straw man. In legalese, it's called the capitis maximus straminius homo. That's Latin. Okay? The capitis maximus Straminius homo. Capitis maximus. All caps. Okay? Straminius homo. Straw man. All capital name, straw man. Okay? Galatians chapter 13, verses 16 through 18, when it talks about the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. You know that there's a first beast from Revelations who receives a head wound and lives. He received a head wound and lived, right? And he caused it all, both rich and great, free and poor. I mean, my bad. He caused it all, both rich and poor, free and bound, to receive a mark. It says in the right hand or in the forehead. Now, we've been taught, right, that the forehead is just this little bit of head right here. But the forehead is not this. This is in modern times. Back when this book was written, the forehead is the face. Okay? The face. What we now call the face is what they used to call the forehead. The forehead is the front of the head. Okay? The forehead. Now, a mark can also be a signature, but we're not going to get into that right this second. We're going to talk about King Henry V. King Henry V. The Catholics called him the fulfiller of the monarch prophecy. Okay? The Catholics said that he fulfilled the monarch prophecy. What he fulfilled was receiving a head wound and living when he was struck in the head with an arrow. Okay? The arrow went underneath his eye, right there, basically in his cheekbone, in the front of his cheekbone, and it got lodged in the back of his skull, on the inside of his face. It went through here, boom, right? Got stuck in the back of his skull. Now, they basically pulled the shaft of the arrow out, and the arrowhead itself was stuck in the back of his skull, right? But on the inside for the rest of his life, and he lived. Okay? What did he do after that? He created the passport. King Henry V received a head wound and lived, and he created the passport. What is a passport? Huh? Passport has the name of man and it has a number of man on it, does it not? And you need it to fly, you need it to travel. Okay? What did the passport back then with the passport, right? What did the passport become today? The passport became today what we know as the legal identity, what some people know as the straw man, what those in the legal world know as the capitis maximus terminius homo. You got the license and the social security number, right? So, yada yada, skip through a lot of this stuff. You're assumed to be dead, lost at sea, blah blah blah. Okay? And now you got a lot of people talk about the Sedeke Von Trust in 1666. And a lot of people talk about Title 42, subsection 666, I believe 13a. Now go back to the book of Revelations, chapter 13, right? And the number is 666. Well, you go into Title 42 of the United States Code, subsection 666, or section 666, subsection 13a, and it talks about the social security number, how you need it to fish, need it to get a job, and etc. Right? So get this. People think that the mark of the beast is a vaccination. Some people think that the mark of the beast is a microchip. People have all these theories. Some is ridiculous enough to say that the mark of the beast is Sunday worship. The whole world is not about to start worshiping the same God on Sunday. And that's not going to be used to buy or sell anything, is it? No, that's not happening, right? So, the microchip or the RFID chip and the vaccination, they got these vaccination passports coming out. That's pretty convincing. Or is it a big deception? Is it? Because get this. You can't get vaccinated, nor can you get the RFID chip if you don't have the license and the social security number. The license has your forehead on it, your face, right? And it has your name and number, your capitis maximus name and your number of yourself. You've been numbered, right? Now, a lot of people don't want to accept that fact that they may have already accepted the mark of the beast. But the scriptures talks about those who overcome the mark of the beast. Okay? I could keep going about that, but I've already went on and on a little bit too much. I didn't even plan on talking about all this stuff, right? But we're going to go back to the mystery of rebirth now. Now that you understand when Jesus was saying, let the dead bury the dead, right? There's nothing new under the sun, people. So get this. When you actually get baptized, the legit way with the legit church, like an Amish church, for example, that has their own government, they have their own Christian leadership, right? They have their own ecclesiastical court. When you mess up in an Amish church, you go before the members of your church, before the bishop, and you might get excommunicated or punished in another way for breaking the ordnung, which is the rules of their religious community. You get it? Um, so when you're reborn, you're supposed to receive the new name and have it recorded in the book of life. You're reborn as a new man. So when you get baptized, you get a new name. In Christianity, it's called the Christian name or the baptismal name. Catholics call it the christened name, right? And then different faiths and different branches of Christianity got different names for it. But it's all the same thing. You get the new name, okay? You have it recorded in the family Bible record, authorized 1611 King James Version Holy Bible, right? And then you got the church parish record. They send a letter to the government and they basically say that you've been reborn. You're no longer the man you used to be. You are a new man, a new man in God. You get grafted into that new covenant. You're under God now. Jesus Christ is your surety and mediator in all matters. Okay? So once you receive that new name following baptism, that Christian name, aka baptismal name, and you have it recorded in the Bible, in the family Bible record, and the church parish record, then after they send that letter to the government and they tell them that you've been baptized, right? Legitimately, not at no 501c3 fake church, but legitimately baptized under ecclesiastical jurisdiction, and that you're no longer a citizen of the world, you're now a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. The next step is you contact the Social Security Administration and you get exempted from Social Security. So that's simple. There's a form, I believe it might be 56, don't quote that. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a form that you fill out with the Social Security Administration, and that is the only way that you can get rid of the number of man and the name of man, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, it's that simple. I love y'all. One love, peace, and fortitude. I'm out. God bless.